Just quickly unmuted. Richard, I'm sending you some funnies on Messenger.
Thank you.
Full course yellow is deployed. Full course yellow is deployed.
Yes, and once again, thanks to Eduardo Freitas for introducing another edition of Full Course Yellow, our weekly get-together where we talk about all things motorsport and beyond, here on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel, the In Pit Lane Facebook page, and now on the In Pit Lane Kick page as well. There's not much on the In Pit Lane Kick page. I don't know if there's anything at all. I don't even know how we ended up on a Kick page, but anyway, we're there apparently. So hello to anybody who happens to be watching us on Kick, which is probably nobody. Now joining us on tonight's program, we've got not quite the full contingent. We have Mark Jones all the way from Queensland. We have Craig Doc Gladigan. We have Richard Outram joining us. Pete has not joined us yet, so he might join us a little bit later. But if not, hello Pete. Hope everything's okay. Now we've got a lot to talk about. Let's start off obviously with Formula One at Baku. First of all, I've got to say that looks like a Grand Prix I'd really like to go to. That just looks like a really great city and a really fun Grand Prix.
Couldn't agree with you more, Brett. Love the job.
It shows you why, like, the benefits of having a grow in terms of tourism. It's a bit like when they had the supercar around at Newcastle. I mean, I'd never in my wildest dreams thought that I'd ever want to go to Newcastle. I mean, all I knew about it was from the Newcastle song, on the Parthenon Cafe, and Normie and his hot FJ Holden with the twin overhead foxtails. But apart from that, I had no interest at all in Newcastle. And then I saw it and thought, hey, that's actually a really nice looking place, a nice beach, and it looks really cool.
Excuse me, we interrupt this broadcast. We've got spam already. Just keep an eye on that, would you, Brett?
Oh, God. We've made it.
In the comments section already. This is 2 weeks.
That's
2 weeks in a row. We're getting spam.
Obviously a chat box.
Yeah, we've hit the pinnacle, Richard. You're right there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, you're nobody with no spam.
Just on that circuit.
Loves you.
Exciting is it? It's absolutely It's a brilliant. I mean, they should never ever delist that circuit off the Grand Prix calendar. It's just brilliant. There's just one little drawback. If you happen to be a driver in it, and you do happen to take yourself out early in the race, if you're stuck behind a barrier, you're there for a pretty long time. And you need to borrow someone's mobile phone to watch anything that's greater than the corner you're on. Just keep that in mind.
It's created a great meme, though. I mean, there were several.
I sent the Lego one to you boys.
Yeah, the Lego one.
Yeah, the Lego one. I think that was pretty cool. They actually went to the trouble of putting the detail on the Lego one as well too. So it had the finer points. So yeah, it's good though. As long as everyone saw, I think everyone, including Oscar himself, saw the humour of it with his feet up there on the bricks or the fence and just kick back. And
well, it was funny how he got back.
All he needed was a drink in his hand.
Well, if you have a look at how he got back to the paddock eventually, Kim Hillman has got the inside story of how it happened, because basically he had to leave the circuit and basically just go into the streets of the town in order to get back. But as he said, the Grand Prix is so big over there and makes so that basically the streets were 95% deserted, but there's a shot of a woman sitting out the front of her, whether it's her house or a shop or something, sort of looking up and going, like, hang on, what the hell? With Oscar walking down the footpath.
I did see that shot too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Oscar said himself, like, the upside of this is I walked past this shop and found a really great jeweller's with something I'm going to buy for Mum.
Yeah, you got to see the silver lining in it all, and he did. Yeah. But out of what was it, 33 Grand Prix? So we're obviously straight off on the F1 wagon here. You've got 33 Grand Prix with no DNF, so that's 3 mistakes.
Well, he did it spectacularly
over 2 days. I hope he's got them all out of the way in one foul swoop, and he's back to Mr. Consistency for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, it was a real. The interesting thing was, I mean, it really showed that like just how good he's been, because everybody was like, oh my God, it's Oscar, and I realised sort of like you wouldn't say that had it have been Lando. I mean, if it had been Lando comes, it'd be like, oh, Lando's stuffed up, but Oscar's been so focused and so perfect, and as you say, over the course of that weekend. He's gone into the wall twice, and he's stalled at the start. But
he jumped. He didn't stall. He jumped, started, then stalled,
and then stalls. Yeah. So
Alonso, did you hear the footage of behind me? Dad, I was silly me following Oscar. Damn it, I got penalised.
And Oscar saying he saw Hulkenberg or something. He said he thought he saw Hulkenberg move or something, and so he went and then hit there, and then so it was a chain reaction. So those sort of things.
Was it the World Athletics we were watching where they all jumped the gun?
Oh, it's easy. I mean, that's fine. It's easy.
It's the World Athletics.
It's easy to do. Yeah, it's easy to do. I mean, if you've ever done any athlete or anything, it's like God knows how many times.
Anything.
I can tell you one about Calder.
Yep. Look, no, he's gone.
Richard, come back! You can't leave us like that.
Here he is. What happened? Am I stalled?
You stalled. Yes, you stalled. The anti-stall's now kicked in.
You shot yourself in the foot and wrecked your coverage.
Quick before it stalls again.
Okay. The Calder have a different light sequence. They flash the lights. One light stays on, and then they all come up and then go out, and then you go. And of course, half the field, the race director told everyone this, and half the people forgot it. and so a lot of them went off. They didn't. They penalised almost nobody. And then they went to a flag, and of course I screwed that up completely, didn't I?
Because you learnt the light sequence perfectly. This flag business is just too simple.
Well, I think a lot of them. I think you're meant to go when the flag comes down. Of course, they went when the flag went up, and.
Well, that was always the argument. It's like, like where do we go? Flag up or flag down, and different starters and different states and the whole thing. So it comes down a lot easier when it's but there needs to be consistency with these things. Anyway, so that was
That's all
not a good
history now.
weekend. But the interesting thing is that Lando wasn't able to capitalise. I mean, as soon as it happened, it was like, well, like Lando's rubbing his hands together and going, oh boy, here we go. I've just got to get a third or a fourth or a second. Even if I can't catch Max, I'm going to get myself a big bag of points here. But in the end, he basically started where he finished, and that was not good. So he didn't qualify well. I mean, Oscar is out of contention, and then Lando just couldn't take advantage of it, which is a bit of a problem.
If you you know how they have the official award and the sometimes prizes and stuff. Though, and I bring it up once in a while. I can't take away the emotion, completely take away the emotion. I can't split drive of the day between George and Carlos. They were both brilliant drives, considering the circumstances. I thought, the emotion.
I thought Carlos was obviously very good, and he won drive of the day. But I thought, if I put in a vote also for Liam Lawson. I mean, he got no DRS at all. He basically just he lost a couple of places, but for the first stint, he basically got past in the pits with the undercut, and he pretty much held out everybody, which shows how tough it is to pass around that circuit. But at the same time, it's a long straight. Though obviously the Raging Bull is quick in a straight line, even without DRS, because no one could get past him, and he held out. He didn't make a mistake all weekend. He just put in a terrific performance. And I think that, like a few of the people who just had written him off suddenly went, oh, hang on a second, I remember now, this guy can actually drive.
Well, I was watching the post-race interview for James Vowles, and little tech note, but just a bit of fun. I'm not going to harp on about it. They put in a sneaky upgrade a couple of races ago. I can't remember how he didn't go in depth about it. Number two, their front wing, they're still using it some races, the one from last year. So because, yes, everyone is raving on about they're probably the front runners on the development of the 2026 car. But like we say every week, who knows until they all hit the grid next year? Where they're sitting anyway? It could be any order. But yeah, no. And I'll just a quick mention as well though to. I sent it to Richard a few minutes ago. I hope you can actually access it while you're talking to us, Richard. That's all right. On your messenger, maybe on your phone, and turn the volume down. I was onto it pretty quick. It just happened to come up in my social media feeds that the Carlos, I thought was fake at first, but it was real. What I noticed, it was Charles' actually real Instagram account, and that the boys got sort of there was a logistics messed up their flight or connecting flights or whatever it may be. So out of the blue, it's great. They're down to earth sometimes. They've got a sense of humour. Let's just hire a car. And Carlos said, "Dibs. I'm calling shotgun." Drove the thing for a couple of hours back to Monaco. This guy at 8 hours early is flying around an F1 bloody car at 200 miles an hour. And probably wish he was trying to do the same in a bloody hire van.
I just love the fact that it was a van as well. I mean, if it had been, we hired a Bugatti or something. But no, they've got all they could apparently pick up at the time was a van. So here they are cruising back down to Monaco from the middle of Italy. They're cruising from, I think it was Nice, to they're driving
at 10 o'clock at night.
10 o'clock at night after having done a Grand Prix and raced all. Then it was like it was the boys' trip away. It was they looked like they were enjoying themselves.
Set it up really well too. He's like got the dark background. You couldn't tell he was in a car all day. Well, if you really didn't think it got any worse this weekend, it has. And then he flashes around his Carlos.
Carlos driving the van. Joining us once again, Pete has joined us again. G'day, Pete.
G'day, Pete. Hey, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what Claude told us about hiring a car or buying a hire car near a racetrack? He said, never do it. Never buy a car which is a hire car near a racetrack.
I do know one of our sponsors, the late Stuart Humphrey, told me a story of him. Back in the day of every Friday, several times over the summer on Friday afternoons, he would he would go down to the local Avis and he would hire himself. A Monaro or a Falcon GT, which apparently they had as a gimmick on at the time. You could hire those cars, and then he would take them home. He and his friends would gut out the interior, take out everything that wasn't necessary, and then take it out to Calder, race it for 2 days, and then come back, put it back together, and drop it back in on Monday. So.
And not even change the oil, I bet.
Remember, Claude also mentioned how they were racing a Formula Ford in one of the countries in Europe, and they blew up the motor, and they already had hired a Ford Escort. So out came the motor.
Out came the motor, and as you would. Pete, what did you think of Baku?
As a race, it was ho hum. No one was passing anyone, but I don't know whether I don't know what it was with Oscar and Lando, and I asked myself rhetorical questions. One being, did McLaren sort of put pressure on them, saying we want to wrap up the Constructors' Championship this weekend, and that put pressure on them? And two being, when Oscar had their PU unit failure in practice, was the car the same all weekend?
Yeah, it was certainly a tough weekend for them. I mean, but Oscar once again has just put his hand up and said, "Look, like I stuffed things up. I went into I just I didn't." I panicked a bit. I think the thing was, because of where he was, I think he was sort of looking at, if I can make an absolute killer start here and can just, because he knows how hard it is to pass around that circuit. He was probably thinking, if I can just squeeze ahead of Lando, then chances are he's not going to get past me for this race, and I'm going to keep that slight advantage, even if we finish. Even if I only get one extra point, I mean, I've got the benefit. But he's got a bit too keen, and he's had no excuses. He just basically said, "No, look, I stuffed it up. I jumped the start, and the anti-stall kicked in, and then I just went too deep into the corner too early. I just didn't have the front end grip that I thought I was going to have, and away I went." So he's put that aside. He's put that aside now. So, and as it's interesting. Max has already sort of said that in terms of his possibility, because I mean, let's say we haven't even spoken about Max yet. It was yet and again another extraordinary performance when you consider he was so dominant at Monza. And he was even more dominant here. He just led all the way. Nobody got close to him. There was no thought at all at any stage that anybody was going to catch or pass him. It was a very quiet day at the office.
Probably jump starting a little bit too, but continue on with the other stuff. I can't remember who it was. It was Meckies or someone was saying that even though next race is at Singapore and it's a track and it's night, but you couldn't get two street circuits that are so far apart from each other. So it'll be completely set up from all the teams will be completely reviewed and redone.
Yeah, well, Max has said that himself. In fact, I've
got a grab?
He's basically said, in terms of someone asked him about the chances of, making a come from behind run at the championship, and he basically sort of downplayed it by just saying, I just go race by race, which is what I've been doing basically for the whole season, just trying to do the best we can. try to score the most points that we can, and then after Abu Dhabi we'll know. Singapore is a completely different challenge again with the high downforce, so we'll see what we can do there. It's difficult to say at the moment, but the last 2 race weekends have been amazing for us. No doubt, absolutely no doubt about that. They've just been incredible, but they have been both circuits where straight line speed is at a is at a premium. That's the big advantage.
And I think there's a couple of spots in Singapore where there are long straights, and sure, Max hasn't won there before, but I think there are long straights there as well, similar to Baku and Monza. So
and he's got to be so full of confidence, and the team are so full of confidence too. I mean, it has to be said that since there was a certain departure, and somebody got paid out a lot of money over the last couple of days to basically put to sign the contract to say goodbye, the agreement.
Well, I think
they've
it's
done
actually
really, really well.
it's a case of that the team have said we want to go. In the last couple of races, we've wanted to go one direction, and Max has said no. Try this. I want you to go in this direction with the car, whether it be downforce or wing or whatever setup or whatever it is, or maybe hard and soft tyres or whatever it is. Max has said no. Give it a go my way. Just tweak it. This is, and they said, all right, we'll do it your way and see how it goes. So it's worked out that way. Obviously, they're not going to go into any of the technical techniques because they don't want to give away any secrets. But so he seems more satisfied they're listening to him, and therefore he has to go out there and make it work that they're telling him what he wants to do with. So it might be a particular front wing or rear or diffuser or floor or whatever it is. So he said that because he's actually said in the Thursday roll up, the press conferences, the team principals, he said so. They've all said they're listening to me and it's working.
Yeah, I think he's probably got more confidence now to say that because in a way he's the senior person there now, and it's like yes, they're going to in the past it was really Christian Horner was basically always my way or the highway. And I think that's one of the frustrations that Lewis is having at the moment with Ferrari is that he's saying, I'm making suggestions to them in terms of both during the race and in terms of setup and all the rest of it, and they're just not listening to me, which is sort of like the old thing with Ferrari, and it was one of the reasons I remember that Alan Jones gave. He always said that he regretted never going to Ferrari when he had an opportunity, but he did say at the time that was the reason why. That he just felt that he wasn't going to be listened to because the attitude was always hey, we're Ferrari, we know what we're doing, we've been around a long time, we know what we're talking about. Your job is to shut up and drive. Our job is to prepare the car. So you let us do what we do, we'll let you do what you do. Whereas he wanted some input, and I think Max is probably in that situation now where he's able to say, well, I've got the experience. I know what I want out of the car, and it doesn't really matter. The good thing is, it seems to have improved Yuki's performance as well. I mean, he's done a lot better over the past couple of races. Although I would doubt that that's going to be enough to save his position, because you would think that the reason he's there is basically because of Honda, and once Honda is gone, you would think that
it's a far-fetched rumor, but the only lifeline he'll ever get, and it's probably the seat he will never get because he's been linked to Aston Martin. So, and that's the only one.
And I think that's not as far-fetched as we think, because Fernando Alonso is, in his 40s. So I think if anybody's going to get shafted, it's Fernando.
It's also the first time we've heard. It's also the first time we've heard Lando talking about retirement as well. I mean, he said the other day that basically he was sort of saying, look, if everything goes well next year may well be my last year if it goes well. He basically is saying that I want to go out on a high. I don't want to sort of go out sort of running around at the back of the field, but it's very nice to be able to say that and to get to choose when you're departing. But it's a bit like playing for the Australian cricket team. I mean, it's like like Usman Khawaja now saying, like, oh, I'm going to retire after basically doing a David Warner and saying, well, I'm going to retire at the end of the Ashes.
Don't swear,
like,
Brett.
And it's like, hey, you might. You'd better show a bit more form because you've got no guarantee. There's no guarantee you're going to make you're going to make more than after the second test. I mean, a couple of failures and you're not going to make the end of the Ashes. So that could be sort of Fernando's thing. And if they've got an opportunity, if they decided, and more particularly if Honda decides in terms of in exchange for those engines, it's like, well, you're going to have to find a place somewhere for our boy Yuki. And so it comes down to then they've got to make a decision. Well, okay, if we've got to get rid of, we've got two choices. We could push the boss's son aside, or we can push the old guy aside. Which way they're going to go?
Well, they could gap year him and say he's reserve driver for the year.
Oh, I think that's going to be the plan. I think that'd be the idea, is that they're going to say, okay, Yuki's reserve driver for Aston Martin. I think that's what they'll announce.
Because they've always said...
I thought it's a poison pen to have the second seat, but be reserve driver? Wow, that's a tough call. Sorry, Pete.
And they've always said...
You're on mute, Jonesy, if you're trying to talk.
Honda have always said that Yuki is going with us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's part of the deal. So, we'll see.
I mean, what's the alternative? That Lance Stroll becomes the team leader at Aston Martin? I mean, is Honda going to be happy about that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't think they'd be too worried as long as Yuki gets to drive somewhere. They'd be quite happy. I mean, I think the ideal situation would probably be that like Fernando continues for a year, that then perhaps Yuki jumps in alongside. But are they going to? Are they going to find are they going to find any sort of big advantage Yuki over Lance? I mean, Lance isn't. It's not as if Lance is a complete wood duck in terms of racing. He's not a he's not at the top level. He's not a Verstappen or even an Alonso, or certainly not an Oscar Piastri or anybody like that. But he has had a few good performances over the years. Yeah, so I mean, it's not as if he's totally without talent.
This is not an open question, but there is a reserve spot at Alpine.
Yeah, well, that's it.
As I said, don't run with it. Don't run with it. I'm just making
well, we've got to say, I mean, basically, because like Briatore has now ruled Jack Doohan completely out of, and there's been no mention of what the role is for him. I mean, it's almost like they've decided that he's going to be the permanent reserve driver. That's going to be his role, and Ferrari have done that for years. I mean, Ferrari, and I forget the name. Pete might actually be able to remind me for years, but we interviewed him on the show. There was a Ferrari driver. No, it was back in the Schumacher days.
Nicola Larini.
Nicola Larini. Yeah. No, it was. I think it was Nicola Larini. We had him on the show at one stage, and that was he was just saying that's my role. I mean I wanted to get into Formula One. I've had the opportunity to do a couple of races, but like my role is to be the development driver for Ferrari, and that's a pretty I get well paid for it. It's a pretty good gig. I'm pretty happy for doing it, and I think he's still around. He certainly got GT drives out of it later in life, and he did quite well out of it. So
he was big in Super Touring for a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. Well, Jared's saying that, and hello, we'll say hello to a few people.
No, Nick Marini was in DTM. He won titles and races in DTM. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, so we'll say hello to a few people. Jared is back with us again. Red Bull should have got Ricardo in the car mid 24 to
He
work on
didn't
set. Not
want
sure
to.
whether he was certainly had a really good reputation for doing that. Unfortunately, they won't get him now. I mean, now Daniel has very
No,
much said now that his
flog,
days of
flogging the dead horse.
his days of
Flogging the
racing are
dead
pretty
horse.
much are basically over at this stage, and that confirms what I heard, from his father in terms, from second hand from someone who had spoken to Joe, and Joe said, look, he's just not interested. He's done his bit. He's had his time. At the
He's had
moment,
his fun.
at the moment he's just getting on with life and getting on with his businesses and just enjoying himself. He's enjoying the fruits of his labour. So So anyway, Sean, welcome along. We got Paul Van Der Acker again saying that a bit of noise coming out about the number of marshals concentrating more on filming stuff on their phone than marshalling. That is a bit of a problem. They're also very keen on dancing. There was the dancing was very entertaining, but
Maybe they were just
national anthem.
maybe they just weren't
Fair
doing
enough.
a good enough job of hiding their filming like they all do.
There
That's
was
probably
nothing happening, so I think that was legitimate. There was nothing happening.
Well, that was probably it. It's like we're supposed to be waving flags, but you just keep waving that blue, and we'll just sit here and we'll
It was
just
a red
take.
flag. The bit I saw was a red flag, so and the drivers all knew it, and they were back in pit lane, and so
Yeah, so there and Mad Cow Mark joining us once again. G'day, Mark. How are you?
No, you didn't. You're with us. You haven't forgotten.
You got here eventually. That's the.
You never missed. You didn't miss much.
That's,
Just
that's
garbage.
the
Just garbage.
Yeah, it's Formula One stuff. Formula One bullshit.
Just
And all the
garbage.
rest of it.
Just a little bit of comedy.
There you go. So anyway, it was it wasn't the world's most exciting race, but as I said, it looks like a really really good venue in terms of being there and as an experience as a city and just being there for the Grand Prix. It looked like I was thinking
Probably
there,
the
like
history of the city.
It's got very very strong Macau vibes. There are just some parts of the track that you just look at it and go, "Wow, it's like a big Macau."
When you got probably half a castle sitting beside you from 20 centuries ago, yeah.
Yeah, so it has got that.
Slight exaggeration.
Has got that
Even-
vibe.
Even
That section
watching
by the castle, that just reminds me of Bathurst 81. Only you'd need a lot fewer than 6 cars to block the track.
even watching them go through the entry to pit lane, that was amazing. Watching them.
Yeah, some of the in-car stuff, from the from that narrow part of the circuit and through the castle area, really looked was quite staggering. But they've re-signed. I think they're going through. They've got a contract through until 2030 now. So who knows if I win Tats Lotto. Like one day I might even go to Baku. I mean, as it stands at the moment, I can't barely afford to go to Calder. So, but
And
anyway,
And if the NDIS changes their tune and allows me to have that as one of my goals, I could go over there as well.
well, there you go. We'll make it a date, Pete. I mean, we'll sort of we'll head across and.
Haven't they cut the funding haven't they cut the funding enough on the autism to shout everyone else a bit more? Ooh.
I'm not autistic.
I'll get Jimmy Kimmel if I keep that sort of comments up.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Makes you reach for the Panadol, doesn't it?
Just jump on the wagon. Oh my God! No, behave.
Every joke I can think of. Oh, I'm going to offend someone.
I've got to be careful with this one, but I was just going to say that. How far did you fire that one away? 130 meters, Jonesy? Ooh.
Well, I suppose I am like 2 entire states away from the rest of you.
Well, this is true. This is This
And
is
this
true.
it's a proper size tape, not a little postage stamp American size tape.
Hey, speaking of that, I didn't go to interstate. I had an amazing day today. I actually went to a whole new country today. Went out and got up very early and took off and headed to a brand new country that I'd never been to before, and got there. No, that's a suburb. No, this is
The Hutt colony?
this is a completely new place. It's the independent principality of Chadstone. Holy cow! Have you been to Chadstone?
It's huge. It's bigger than
Oh
Bendigo.
my god! It's not a shop. I haven't been there for about 5 or 6 years. It's not a shopping centre anymore. If you haven't been for ages, it is a city. It is bigger than
metropolis.
it's got to be bigger than it's neo. It's a neo city. It's just a walled city where you go in. It's just incredible. I was just stunned, sort of going into the place and holy! I got overwhelmed actually. I went through the new food court or the new food area, and I saw that, and I found one piece of the old world, the old food court.
Nonetheless,
Grabbed something, and I came out and I thought, I'm going to. If I go any further into this place, I am not going to make it home tonight. I am. They will have to send a search party. So I just turned around and came out. But it was amazing. It gave me huge vibes of Auchan, the big mega store in France. In just terms of all of the little stores in store and all the things you could get. But I mean, you know that it's Chadstone when you go to the butcher's there and you see that the price of the minced steak is $21 a kilo.
you've got to come out our way.
With
Nothing like that, Fred.
I'm stuck with you. I'm broadcasting right now from north of Melbourne because yesterday I was over in Chifley Drive and I got stuck in traffic in Northland. Won't tell you how I got out of it. I don't know, but I went north. And today, I somehow found myself stuck at Epping Plaza and then South Morang in traffic. These school holidays are driving me. I'm broadcasting from South Morang right now.
That's what I forgot. I got into Chadstone. As soon as I walked through the door, I went, my God, there's a lot of. Oh no, it's school holidays.
Yep, and
This
the
is why
roads.
Doc's using
The roads everywhere else are wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to get all over this state in every day. Sometimes, as I said, I was in Werribee yesterday, and then I found myself. Where did I go after? I was somewhere else crazy. I was up North Craigieburn afterwards after coming back to Dandenong. But you get anywhere near a shopping centre in a vicinity of about 2 k's at the moment. Good luck. Get a sandwich, get a tent, and get a picnic because you're going to need it and a compass.
Well, see, this is why Doc is actually using the digital backdrop tonight, because if he spins his phone around, we'll see in the front of the van is Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc, yeah. 4chan saying, do we think the next race will be won by Lando or Oscar? I think Oscar will come back. I think he'll be very strong at Singapore.
I think
Pete,
he'll come back. I don't think either of them will win it. I think it will be Max. I'm sorry, but I think it will be Max.
well, that would be good. It'd be good for the championship. It'd be really good for the championship. I mean,
No, sorry about Pete.
For the purpose of the championship, a win by either Oscar or by either Max or Orlando, would certainly add to the excitement.
Was it 4 fails out of the 7 in a row out of the those two of them, and Max is back in it. They only need 4 fails between them each. 4 each.
So
I think they'll get. I think Lando and Oscar will get in the points, but I think.
Well, they want their 1-2, 1-3 to get their constructors wrapped up, which they were aiming for this weekend. Well, that really went out the window.
Yeah, to a 7-0.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, you would hope that they won't have sort of that those sorts of problems again. But it's an interesting track that they've got to go to. I mean, because it's a bit like what we said about Sandown last week. Once again, being a street circuit, even though it's a very modern street circuit, it has consequences if you make mistakes. Like Baku had consequences. So. It's not as if they're sort of, they're heading out to Circuit of the Americas or something like that.
And it often ends up being a timed race because they don't make it goes the full time with no red flags, but it often ends up being a timed race finishing because it goes beyond the 2 hour limit.
Yeah, the average lap time.
I'd like to see if they all go the bigger brake ducts like they had to go with Baku. They take them to Singapore because obviously the humidity. So they all had to lose what they thought from aerodynamics through giving some more air through the car. So
well, that's the other
that'll
thing.
be
We haven't really had though, because remember when they initially proposed the Singapore Grand Prix at this particular time of year, everyone said, "Oh, this is going to be a disaster. It's wet, so they're going to get monsoon rains, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare." We really haven't had that at this stage, so we've got to be due for a really wet Singapore race at some stage.
Nah, it's been spectacular.
Oh yeah, have like one of those monsoons you get at Sepang.
Or Monza. I should say Monte Carlo.
Yeah, well, I think
2 years ago.
When it rains in the trough, it really does. It really does rain. I mean, I was at Sepang for the Super GT, and on the Saturday, it was absolutely lovely. And then someone said, oh, it's, the rain's coming, and I looked at it and said, no, it's not. And they just said, wait 5 minutes. Yeah, this is a local, and sure enough, he was right because we were just sitting there looking at and said, what the hell's that noise? And suddenly everything went black and suddenly bang, down it came like that. And then sort of 45 minutes later it was gone, the track dried up and they were back practicing again.
Richard, you just reminded me, as soon as you said what you just said about, was it Monaco, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Cue Lewis Hamilton radio messages about whinging about it's too wet to race. Bang. You're going to get they're going to get chewed straight into Lewis.
And then Ayrton Senna used to do that too. I remember in Adelaide, that Adelaide only had to run a certain number of laps before Ayrton was champion, and he was all gung-ho to race. Then the minute the number of laps ticked over, he pointed to the sky. Stop the race! Stop the race!
Stop the race!
Oh yeah, but he did it for he actually did it for driver safety or to win a championship. Lewis just does it to win,
not driver safety.
Yeah, not
driver safety.
Well, yeah, he was. Remember, he was one of the instigators in driver safety back in the day. So
anyway, let's. We've got a couple of weeks now until. Until Singapore. Paul just saying there, I didn't catch this. We were talking about before the show. We were talking about the ridiculous amount of motorsport that was on and about on the weekend, and that was one that we last weekend was the motocross Grand Prix out of tropical downpour caused to be red flagged. The MotoGP race had to be cancelled, so they got caught with the torrential afternoon rains up there. It was interesting to see the ABC. I don't know what's going on at the ABC. Suddenly somebody at ABC Sport has discovered motorsport. I mean, it's just it's come out of the blue because not only are they running stuff about Formula One and Oscar and all the rest of it, but they actually ran a news story about Jet and what's his brother's name, Doc?
Lawrence.
Lawrence? Jet and some.
Jet Lawrence. Oh yeah, we should know. We interviewed him.
No, we interviewed him. Yeah.
We're both big fans. You and I. I'll look it up while you're going. You keep going.
Yeah, but they finished 1 and 2. And it got major coverage on the ABC, which is incredible. So that was really good. As Jared's saying, Gold Coast, boy,
Hunter.
we had did
Jet
we have
Hunter.
some Jet?
Remember that?
Hunter, that's right. Jet and Lawrence
Jet Hunter, both great kids. And they was, and I'll use this word very liberally sometimes, but they were super respectful. They were just cool kids and happy to chat to us. So down to earth, they were great value.
Yeah, they were good, and they've certainly they've just continued that I think at the time everybody, when we spoke to a couple of the Americans there who were saying, "Oh, these kids are good already," but what they could become, and they've just become sort of just dominant now. They're in a class, they're just in an extraordinary class of their own in a sport like that too. It's not like Formula One or that where you can say, well, they've just got a better design. They've got an Adrian Newey, or they've got an extraordinary engine or an extraordinary design that is so much better than everybody's else.
Ricky Carmichael, Brett was the one that came across, and we also had a chat with that time. And I did 2 minutes of research. Brett always says I'm actually trolling him, or I'm whatever it is, stalking him. But I actually just happened to notice that it was Ricky's birthday, and I said it early on in the piece, and he took to us like a duck to water. We got exclusive over Ricky the whole time we were there. All because I wished him a happy birthday. He thought,
happy birthday.
Oh, someone cares about me. Oh, who cares? No, forget about the rest of the crew. These in pit lane guys, they're on the money. He gave us so much stuff.
Yeah, now that has definitely changed. Paul saying same with 3AW. You cover motorsport on Monday evening. That has changed a lot in the days from. I think it was Shane Bond was the sports person there. I did a story in terms of how the mainstream media covered motorsport, and I got a correspondence with Shane Bond, who was sporting director at 3AW at the time, and I was pointing out that they didn't cover motorsport, and he said no. He said that's because we're a sports show and car racing isn't a sport. So that was his attitude at the time. So that's obviously changed a lot.
Good friend of Brett and I obviously say hello to him. We catch up with him regularly at the tracks, and he's been doing a little bit more this year. Famous for his podcast, All the Garage. But Rusty's been doing a regular segment all year on the Rush Hour with Billy and JB. So
it's getting better. So yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better. It's one of the I mean, anyway,
Crompton had a podcast on Triple M for a while, didn't he?
I think everybody's had a podcast on Triple M for a while.
Has anyone heard how the undercut's going yet?
No, that was another one, was it? I haven't heard that one.
What you don't know?
No.
Our friends at the V8 Sleuth have done 2 shows so far.
Oh, is that one? Is it? Yeah. No, I saw. Yeah.
It's called The Undercut.
Oh, it's called The Undercut, is it? Yeah.
I actually accidentally punched on it, watched the first minute of one of them, and they went, okay, that's just going to be. And you know what? What I did see someone's comments. Same old spiel, same old rubbish. When are you actually going to change it up, or change it across, or change things full stop, and put something different on, and put the driver's real point of view? None of this brainwash stuff that you do that people got. Which Brett and I, we didn't do that. You've never done that for 30 years,
the point is, and I've always argued that this is the problem. We had nothing to lose. This was the argument that when I think it was Phil Brannigan, when he was editor of Motorsport News, said to me at one stage, he said, "You've got nothing to lose." He said, we're running a business. He said, and we've got to make money out of it, and we've got to. He said, he said, you guys, I mean, you do it for nothing. I mean, it doesn't. If they turn around and say, "Oh, right, well, you're going to lose sponsors over this," you'll go, we don't have any sponsors, so you.
They can't ruffle any feathers, yes.
Yeah, if you don't have feathers, you can't ruffle them. But Paul pointing out that Rusty was on the Motocross Grand Prix. That's another one that is coming up. I don't know whether it's when, but they're going to do a Bathurst preview show. Jack Perkins is going to be Jack's doing a preview show on 7, I think, with James Moffat and I forget who the other person is. Anyway, let's get off that now. We spent 48 minutes talking about all sorts of things, but mostly Formula One. Let's get quickly around the block. IMSA on the weekend. A win. Cadillac have finally returned to the winners list. Earl Bamber has picked up a win, so that's good news. I caught about the last. I actually started listening to it with about 90 minutes to go, and then I went back to bed and thought I'll listen to the end. I won't watch it. I'll go back and listen to the end of it in bed with the commentary from IMSA Radio with our mate John Hindhoff, and I went straight off to sleep. So I didn't actually hear the end of it. Mark, did you catch up with much of it?
It was a quite close finish between the two Cadillacs at the front of the field, actually. With the Tom Blomqvist, I think, was at the wheel of the number 10 Cadillac, the Wayne Taylor Cadillac, in the back half of the last little bit of the race. Let's see. Hunter McElrea and the TDS team that he races with, they won LMP2, and that's third win on the trot for the team in LMP2, and second in the row for Hunter, who's their expansion driver for when they need 3 drivers instead of 2. So yeah, there was some good bits going on there, and Ford Mustang got their first win in IMSA, hot on the heels of their first victory at the Nürburgring NLS just 7 days earlier.
Yeah, no, I think that was their second one. I think their second straight. I think I've got that down at the bottom. I think that was their second win in a row. Okay. So the Mustangs are really coming on fast, and they've got the Evo coming in later for next year. That won't be at Bathurst. Speaking of the Bathurst 12 hour, we've got the biggest indication yet that we know that there's going to be at least one Mustang there. Tony Quinn has brought a Mustang over, and that will race at the Bathurst 12 hour. But we got our main indication. It was virtually confirmed by Jess Dane on Scott Pye and Elliot Barber's podcast. Speaking of podcast, she basically confirmed that yes, there would be. They hadn't worked it all out yet. The interesting thing was she said there would be a Corvette at Bathurst. It was certainly obviously a race that they wanted to compete in, that they wanted to win. The interesting thing that she said, and I think this is sort of the buried lead. Well, Jared's got the details, which I'm going to just saying that Corvette GT3 need to sell 3 cars to customers for the homologation. Maybe Australia and New Zealand.
Only 3.
It won't. Well, they've got to sell them a certain number to be eligible, and they haven't done it. They haven't really. They've been very careful about who they sell cars.
Yeah.
Who they sell cars to. But it won't be to Australia. It might be to New Zealand, but it apparently won't be to Australia because Jess Dane was saying that because of the nature of the car and that very tight sort of the way it's designed with the engine in the back, they can't make it fit Australia for the noise regulations. They said they can't put in basically it's homologated with a particular and designed with a particular sized muffler and exhaust system, and they can't apparently put in a larger one. And they've said there's just no way that they're going to get below to that 98, because pretty much around the rest of the world it's 105 to 110. Even the World Touring Car Championship when we were at Macau, I mean, we were stunned at how loud they were. These little 4-cylinder things, they were screaming their head off, and we said, "Wow, these things are so loud." No, someone said, there are 110 decibels here, and that was the same when we went to Le Grand Prix de l'Âge d'Or, the two. It just blows your mind when you get there and you actually hear race cars sounding like race cars again. It's like, oh my God, what we surrendered way too meekly in terms of the sound problem, and that's apparently the problem.
Sound doesn't work the way that you think it does. What the ears hear isn't what comes up on the sound guns. This is from my experiences of running limited noise at Lakeside Park over the last couple of decades. Like a deeper engine note doesn't sound as loud as it actually is, and a shrill sounding engine is softer than you think.
Well, it all comes down to frequency. It all depends. See, this is the problem of doing anything because you see them at. In fact, I had a word with some people at the GT round at Sandown because they have that little sort of enclave that they bring in, the little portable office which they put down at the just between the grandstand and the paddock area with the noise meter in it. And as I pointed out, the very fact that it was sitting in that particular box basically amplified the noise as the cars were coming past, because the noise is going there. It's not going through. It's coming there and it's bouncing around the. It's a perfect sound chamber. Sound's bouncing around all over the place. So it's not a particularly reliable way, and it's going to depend on the atmospheric conditions. What the air pressure is, what the humidity is, in terms of how far those vibrations and that noise travels. Like the
low clouds,
low cloud. All of those things have the way the wind's blowing, the background noise, all those sorts of things have a real impact on the noise situation. And so it's very hard to get a reliable fix on it. But it's interesting that Jess said in the interview, she said that she particularly pointed out Phillip Island and just saying she said they're so ruthless at Phillip Island. She said there is no way that we would that the car in its current form would ever get round. So she said the chances at this stage of seeing a Corvette in the Australian series are pretty much slim to none. Paul saying the Carrera Cup cars are more painful than the F1s. Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, the Formula Ones don't have a lot of noise at all at the moment, but the supercars noise. But yeah, I think the Carrera Cup cars sound great, and the Formula 2 and Formula 3 cars sound better than the Formula 1 cars.
Just before you run away on that, I watched a bit of the AU4 series. Sorry, AU4 series is in Australia. I watched a bit of Formula 4 over the weekend. They were at Sepang and also, where was it? Suzuka, I think Suzuka, whatever it was. Well done to Seth Gilmore, who's been competing. He's the Aussie, been competing in the Formula 4 series over the Asia content one. And yeah, he's been sitting between, I think he won 2 races for Evans Racing during the year, and he's got a couple of seconds and thirds. So well done to Seth. I hope he keeps on ploughing through and does another year next year. It looks good.
Yeah, there's quite a few Aussies around the world in various the various junior formula, and it's hard to keep track of all of them. It's also hard to
GB3.
Yeah, GB3 and all, and GB4 and for French and Spanish F4 and NXT in America, Next in America, and Formula Ford 2000.
Yeah, Lockie Hughes was high up in the American system this year.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of there's a lot of talent overseas, and I suppose the problem, as per usual, is the money in terms of how they take that next step into something like Formula 3 or Formula 2, because that's obviously, if we're going to see them in Formula 1, that's where they're going to go. Interesting, of course. We mentioned the Mustangs before, and running next year we've got the one make Mustang series, and this is going to be a big push to try and get some of these young guys, the sons of rich fathers, out of Carrera Cup, because they've announced that the winner of the Ford series will get basically get a Ford development drive for Ford Racing. So. That's a really big feather in the cap of whoever wins the inaugural Ford Mustang Challenge next year in Australia. So I think that it might have a real effect on Carrera Cup, because there's probably a few people running around the midfield and the back of that field who are looking at the cost of a Carrera Cup car. And then looking at the Mustang and going, oh, hang on. But it'll be interesting to compare the prices. I mean, because surprisingly, I mean, the Porsche, I was surprised that it's a lot of money. It's a shitload of money. But I think for what you get and for the car you get out of it, and for all the racing and exposure you get, I think it's pretty good value. But it would be interesting to be able to compare the two of them and say, okay, well, which is going to be the more expensive, and which
the other thing is different horses for different courses too. Depends on what like get your kicks out of as well too. Where you want to, if you want to keep it locally and just enjoy the product you've got, or take it overseas and as you said, bang for buck.
Yeah, but anyway.
Quickly,
yeah.
I was just going to do some.
GP.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's pretty quiet on that front because it's the week. Oh well, except for it's pretty much Mark Marquez. it was also announced in the last week, since we did the show last week, there's 4 of them. There's going to be 4 GP26 bikes for Ducati. So I think Bezzecchi is going to get another one, as well as Alex Marquez, and as well as Pecco and Mark. But Mark obviously dominating, can wrap it all up. You've got it all down thing. But the big news, of course, has been the Yamaha V4 launch over the last week and a half. The testing was very important. Probably spent way too much time analysing and having a look at this. So to wrap it up, Dovi, as in Dovizioso, obviously long-time Ducati rider, especially in the development stage for many in its infancy when they were losing and coming last and getting concessions everywhere. Dovi was their factory rider and obviously was with Yamaha before Ducati and subsequent afterwards in the Tech 3 team after he finished up there. Bit sort of like Thriller Miller's doing now after he's had his factory Ducati ride. So Dovi's done all the development of it. Fantastic, really nice guy. What they did, though, on the testing weekend, they got the 3 riders. They got Fabio Quartararo, Jack Miller, and Alex Rins. And now I can do the nicknames. What they did with Thriller and Rinzi was they put them on the inline 4 bike first. One of the two, I can't remember which order, so they might have put Jack on the inline 4 and then ran him on the V4 in the afternoon, and they did the other way around. Rinzi, they put him on the V4 bike first, and then they ran him on the inline 4 afterwards, so they could both get a feel on where the bike is coming from or going to. Of course, Jack's got the massive experience. That's why they overlooked Miguel Oliveira, and kept him in the team next year, because he's run a Ducati at the factory, the pinnacle of its V4 stage last year and the year before, and so forth. And of course, he's been he's a Yamaha experience over the years and up and coming through the ranks. So quickly, it's basically at this stage about 1.5 to 2 seconds with what those 4 riders on the back of it, slower than the current inline 4. But there was huge positives. I'm not going to go into it because I can quote forever on the 3 boys. That's Thriller, obviously Rinzi and Dovi, that they got enough to work with around the rest of the bike, especially the electronics, ECU, mapping, that sort of stuff, everything to get that time back by, say, mid next year, and going forward be even faster again. Fabio Quartararo was not scathing of it, but he's like, nah, it's too slow. It doesn't do this. I can't get into this, blah, blah, blah. Whinge a little bit. But, he's very, very demanding, and he wants the bike to work for him now and wants to win a race yesterday. So what it basically is, the huge overview of the whole lot, so I don't rubbish on for any much longer, is that Yamaha, if they stay with the inline 4, they're going to go nowhere. They have been going nowhere for a while. Nothing was going to change. This is a step in the right direction with something they can work with and move forward and get something.
Well, you got to try something. As they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So they've now, they've changed things up, and it'll be interesting to see how that change. And then, of course, you've got more rule changes coming up in the years to come. So it'll be interesting to see. It would be really good to see Yamaha, and of course, Jack Miller up the front again. It would be that'd be.
Well, they did 30 each of the 2 sessions, morning and afternoon. They did 30 to 40 laps, so it's 32 or 39 or something like that. So they just didn't go out there and do a couple laps.
Speaking of doing laps, I'll be doing lots of laps around Fuji this weekend. It's the FIA World Endurance Championships. The Alpines have been given a slight boost in their power to try and make them a bit more competitive. Interesting that there's been no major move. I thought there might be some moves on the Toyota front. The good thing about, of course, it being at Fuji is that the time factor will be in our favour. So if you want to have a look at it, it will be on Stan. If you've got Stan, if you don't have Stan, you can go to the FIA WEC app or the WEC website, and you can pay. It's about $17 or something, I think, if you want to watch it on the Sunday. So that's coming up for this week. The Genesis, the new car, just as we said at the bottom, ticker they've run a 32-hour endurance test at Algarve, and they were very, very happy with the.
How many drivers they have rotating on that one, Brett?
I think there was four. I think they had the four
Right.
the four drivers they've announced already. Interesting enough, they've announced a couple of new drivers, including the two from the LMP2 crew. I'm surprised they haven't announced at this stage Jamie Chadwick. I really thought that after I thought that they were probably trying to get her through, and she certainly seems to have done a pretty good job so far. And I'm surprised they haven't announced it, because I think that would that'd go, that would help in terms of PR stuff. It would look good to have her involved, and she certainly seems capable of being reliable, if not quite as fast as some of the other guys. She certainly she doesn't seem to make too many mistakes. She seems to be very capable, and has won races with them. So we haven't heard from that. I'll also just wrap up quickly for all the drag racing fans. If Mad Cow Mark is watching, I know he's a fellow drag racing fan. Big announcement this morning that IHRA International in the United States, run by a guy Daryl Cutler, who's a big businessman in America. He bought the IHRA in America. He has now purchased IHRA Australia, which of course is the sort of alternative sanctioning body to the Australian National Drag Racing Association. What it means for drag racing in Australia, we don't know, but it's to have all that sort of support, all that money coming in, you'd have to think it would probably be a good thing, at least for the IHRA. We'll see. I was going to try and talk with either Daryl himself or Maurice Allen, who will stay in charge of IHRA Australia, to find out exactly how this has come about and what it does mean to the sport over here. But any injection of funds and of support is going to be good for the sport, which continues to get huge crowds. Although I was amazed, the racing. The cars that turned out for the Bangers and Mash meeting at Sydney Motorsport Park, there was some live streaming. It wasn't what you'd call high production standards. In fact, it was pretty crook. But the cars were sensational, and I was really amazed that they didn't get a massive crowd out there. It was a very disappointing crowd, I thought. So they would have. There were certainly more people. There were certainly more people at Calder for the roll racing on Sunday. And speaking of which, the roll racing, I mentioned that they'd be moving back to Friday nights fairly soon, October the 10th. Friday, October the 10th, they're going back to Friday nights for drag racing and
when does daylight savings start? I wonder if that concurs.
Yeah, that's Jared's saying.
When's
Calder
I'll
could
have
do
a quick
with
look.
upgrade.
When's daylight savings?
Yeah, well,
I
think it's what day?
The Sunday of that weekend.
Of that weekend, yeah. So
something
miss out on that, yeah.
Something twigged in, I reckon.
Before Bathurst.
First Sunday in October.
No, Sunday the 5th. There we go. It's the week before.
Yeah.
The week before. Bathurst. Okay, so that's good. So that's one of the reasons they've probably done it. Yeah, Jared's saying Calder Park could do with an upgrade. It's certainly something I'd like to ask whether there's going to be any pressure. It is the missing link in Australian drag racing at the moment, the fact that there is no presence in Melbourne, because the sport at the national level, the Australian National Drag Racing Championships, getting huge crowds. They've got television. They've got great coverage, big fields in most categories, and what is missing, the one bit of the puzzle that is missing, is a presence here in Melbourne. And right now, the only way they're going to get anything done is if they do it out at Calder Park, because Avalon. As I said, if they ever build Avalon, I think I'll be dead and buried well and truly before they get it up and running.
Actually, Brett, can you just run the package for the In Pit Lane Motorsport News you and I used to read from? You probably haven't got it ready. I'm sorry about that. I've got your notes. I've got 3 quick things to say because it relates to Brett's lower third there, as we call it in the TV industry. One, the Frosty and Zach Merritt promo over the weekend over the other thing there. Zach Merritt took no questions whatsoever. He would not. He refused any questions. So there you go. Other than fans and signings and that. So look, there you go. That was the answer to that. Number 2, there is justice in the world. Marbio Chol got off the tribunal tonight. They overturned the 3 weeks. 3, Brett got. I think Brett got the 3 votes in the St Kilda Melbourne game where the Sire only got 2 votes for last night. So
and
well
I wasn't
done,
even
Brett.
at the ground. I wasn't even sitting in the grandstand. I mean, I was home. So
you got
thank
3.
You very,
3 votes to Brett.
I didn't get 3 votes in the Brownlow.
that's it.
Nasai absolutely just flipped the game on its head on his own.
I just love the fact that they were showing the Melbourne table there, and when they said 3 votes, Jack Vine, and the Melbourne went, what?
And so, and the last bit of breaking news, I say that very loosely. Zach Merritt's only a 90% chance of going to Hawthorn there rather than 100% like last week.
Yeah,
we'll
see where it goes. Now, Paul pointing out that BJR announced early Bryce Fullwood is leaving at the end of the season. Also, Matt Stone Racing have announced that Matt Hill is Matt Hill. Also, James Golding is also leaving Premier, so there's some movement around. But Matt Hill and
Cameron Hill.
Sorry, Cameron Hill, Matt Hill. Yeah, Cameron Hill, Cam Hill, and Bryce Fullwood. Nothing has
Salisbury
been
Hill,
officially, but the rumor going around was that the 2 are not unconnected. So just watch this space. I can't say any more, but watch this space. Probably about let's say at a guess 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
We might be on the music scene with Salisbury Hill.
Yeah.
I'm up on Salisbury Hill.
Yeah. Paul, say any news on Heathcote? Yeah, the negotiations are continuing to purchase to buy out Heathcote Park. And as we said a couple of weeks ago, the track, the venue is great. It's just the location that is a problem. But yes, there is. We haven't lost it. There are people. There's a number of groups locally up in that area that are very keen to get hold of Heathcote Park and to get it up and running again. Jared's saying again, more streaming from Calder could get more promotion. Yeah, we sort of done that because we did the streaming. I mean, it was in Pit Lane that did the streaming out at Calder Park. And
I did some. I was going to say Shane and I did some really good close-up wheel to wheel stuff.
I was really happy. You can see it on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. If you do a search for it, you can see some of our coverage from the meetings that we did out there, and also from Adelaide International Raceway as well. I think the last ever drag meeting I think they ever had out there.
Probably not in the budget out there at Calder to put us out there on the track again for the time being.
Well, I think at the moment, the drag racing that's happening out there at the moment is very much off-street. There is a few competition cars turning up, but it is basically off-street racing. And then the roll racing. I think it's. I also think that it's a fact that that Pete, who runs the thing out there, is not mad keen at the moment to put. I know that the guys from Roll Racing Victoria on their Facebook page did some live streaming on the over the weekend on the Sunday, and I don't know whether they actually asked for permission beforehand, because I spoke to them afterwards and they sort of said that Pete didn't seem particularly happy about that. So yeah, and they were just streaming from sort of like a mobile phone up in the up in the grandstand. So yeah, I'd like to do it. As I said, we've got the gear. We'd be happy to do it. And we'll have a talk coming up later in the year. We do have in November the National Roll Racing Championships at Calder Park, and so I might have a word to Pete in the next few. He's got some racing over the next couple of weeks of his own.
You and I are both, Richard's done it before too, but you and I are both stupid enough to put some high vis on and make a scene, aren't we, Brett?
Well, you'll be doing it on your own because I'm doing the commentary, so I don't have to worry about it.
I'm sure you'll find a way to cross down there with a microphone with me right next to a tyre getting splattered with bloody rubber.
There you go. In local, yeah, okay. Paul pointing out in two-wheel race Australian Superbike Championships. arrive for the next round in 2 weeks' time. That'll be interesting. It's a good track out. I'd like to go and have a look at what they've done out there because haven't been there. And Supercross season starts up at Redcliffe up your way, Mark, with rounds 1 and 2 on Saturday and Sunday. And Mark, what else you got? A thing down there, the World Excel Enduros this weekend. Tell us about that quickly. Richard, you're not racing there. Why?
Yes, that's why I want to know.
Most importantly, why?
Yeah.
Well, I
know.
imagine that Richard might. Yeah, well, maybe Richard didn't have time to get a co-driver together to.
I don't have a
across the line.
co-driver. That's for sure.
I'll do it.
The XL Enduro has been running since 2014, and it's run through a couple of different formats while they figured out just how far you can get an XL before it runs out of fuel. There's been quite a bit of experimentation with that over time, and they settled on last year a format of 250-kilometre races. That way, they don't have to do refueling, and that makes it easier for everybody involved. But yeah, drivers for well, not for. There are some drivers who are attempting it solo. A few interesting names in the race. This race has been won twice before by Brock Fenney, amongst others, and also Nash Morris. Where was of course I've lost it now. Oh yeah, Riley Beggs, who's involved with the Erebus system these days, as part of their he's part of the crew rather than a racer these days, but he's returning to racing, joining Tyler Collins, who a former national XL champion. Jalen Rowbotham's is returning to run the race again. I think I saw. Did I see Fraser Declan Fraser? No, I'm not sure that I did. There's plenty of very interesting combinations amongst the field. Very much looking forward to it. Yeah, as mentioned, 250 150-kilometre-hour races is the format. Last year's winners were Ryan Casher and Connor Roberts, and Alice Buckley won it 2 years ago, co-driving with Nash Morris. And so there's always been some interesting names around the place for this race. Very much looking forward to it. Queensland Raceway, in case I didn't make mention of that. Should probably pop across and also make mention of there was some pretty significant racing over at the Bend on the weekend just gone. We had the Formula V and Saloon Car Nationals and the penultimate round of the Formula Ford Championship. Mason Harvey won the Saloon Car Nationals from Jackson Gallo and Sean Jamison, although Scott Dornan led the Saloon Cars for some of it before his race came to an early end. Michael Kinsella and David Reynolds had a ding-dong battle for the Formula V Nationals, and Kinsella got the win. Curtis Porter from Queensland has come home in third. So fantastic work by him, trying to chase the V veterans in Kinsella and Reynolds. In the Formula Fords, Lachlan Evannett was the man who won the weekend in the BF Racing Magal, but Evannett's very much third in the championship, where they go to the final round, and don't ask me the name of the venue for the final round. I don't have it in front of me. But Kobe Williams
I think they might be a Phillip Island, are they, for the Island Magic?
That sounds familiar, actually.
I think there's a couple. I know the sports sedans will be down there for their round, for their national round, for their final.
And this roundup is proudly brought to you by Mobile One, 7-Eleven, and Twinkies.
Kobe Williams heads to the Formula Ford finale if it is at Phillip Island, by just 7 points over Joe Fawcett. Both Spectrum drivers, and so they will fight out the title. There's it's 40 points back to Lachlan Evannett in third place in the championship, and then it's 110 points back to Jamie Rowe, who's fourth in the title. So yeah, it's all down to Williams and Fawcett for that finale of the Formula Ford Zone. Perhaps,
Okay.
yeah.
We
Although
better
most
head it.
disappointingly about the Formula Ford round at the bend was there were only 10 cars.
Yeah, it was. I looked at the thing. It was a very disappointing turnout. So perhaps look at that further down the track. Hey, listen, we better get out of here. We've overstayed our welcome once again, but there's so much. I mean, we missed out on so much. As I said before, we can't cover everything. But we cover most of the stuff. We cover most of what we want. Quickly, we better go around. Pete's gone to sleep. Pete's decided he's decided enough is enough, so he's disappeared. But let's go around quickly while we're here. Mark, I take it there's no doubt about who you think will be winning Saturday's big event down at the MCG.
Oh yeah. I definitely think that motorsport is the winner in almost any competition going.
This is true, but Doc, what's your tip?
Richard's just absolutely flabbergasted. You go first, Richard.
Sorry, okay. Lions by 13 goals.
Okay, Mark's got Lions by 13.
Richard,
Doc?
you go.
Okay. Has the cricket started at the MCG this weekend?
Pete's
No,
back with us.
No.
Cricket.
Well, it has started already, but if you're a Victorian, the less said about that, the better.
Because I know you enjoy it, Brett.
Yes,
we all do. I think we all do as a Victorian. I'm hearts for the Lions, but think the Pussies will win.
Pete, you're back with us. What do you think for the now that we're out of it? What do you think of the what do you think for the weekend?
I hope Geelong slaughters Brisbane by 100 points.
Is that all?
There you go.
I think Chocky. I predicted it on the weekend. As soon as I saw Berry go down with the shoulder, I put it in my group chat with my AFL mates, and I think I've got it right. They announced today basically Berry is out and Chocky Neal is in.
Yeah, so so that'll be what everybody's looking at, because as we found out on Saturday at the MCG with Collingwood playing the injured player, the player under an injury claim.
Dane Zorko was not injured. He kicked your first 4 goals. He got dragged, and Fags gave. Oh, sorry, the wrong coach. That's right, the wrong coach.
Yeah.
But Dane Zorko kicked the first 4 goals for you. It was ridiculous.
It's crazy.
But anyway, so that's coming up this weekend. I'm probably with Mark. I think that I think Brisbane will take it out. They were very impressive. They were very impressive on the weekend, I thought, and they've got that experience from last year. I think so. But I think either way, I think it's potentially going to be a really great game, and probably the two sides that deserve to be there are there when you have a look at sort of at least the second half of the year. And Collingwood, if you let Jamie Elliott go, and I think he's gone already, you're insane.
No, they've offered him and Maya check 2 years each. It's up to them whether they take it or not.
Yeah, they won't. The problem is Elliott has pretty much said he wants to go to the Gold Coast, and the reason why it's not money, it's not there or that, it's lifestyle. He's just saying I like the weather up there. I like the heat. My family like the heat. Everybody thinks it's a really good place to go.
Well, I think
nobody will recognise him.
Yeah, the goalie got exploited.
True.
Steele was a bit slow at times. They tried to use him as a tag on top of McCluggage, and that just did not work whatsoever. And
speaking of which, I will just say very quickly, I don't know what time it's on, but not tomorrow, but Thursday, I will be at the studios of RMI TV, Channel 31 this week. We did it last year. Channel 31 will have a special edition of the Sports Desk on, I think it's probably going to be Friday night, which our mate Jason Evans from In Pit Lane and is producing that program. I'll be going in there. I'm jumping into your position, Pete. I'm going to go in there and floor manage for them. So that's happening on Thursday.
I've met them back a few times back in the day. Give them all my best regards and kick the Sharon around the studio and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, so that
Don't
will
take
be
any lights out.
Yeah, so that will be
Do you
that
want
will
a
be
chair?
Friday. Yeah. Well, I was thinking I'm going to do because they said, "Oh, could you floor manage?" And I went, "Yes." And then I thought, "Oh God, I'm going to be on my feet for hours." But anyway, yeah. So I wouldn't mind if you got a spare one there, Peter. I might call in on the way.
Well, if we're going to do that sort of stuff, remember
Grab it.
Collingwood's not in it, so the Collingwood scarves are banned. Brett, do not wear it in.
Then you'll legitimately be replacing me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so, but anyway,
Right.
so that's coming up Friday night, Channel 31, the Sports Desk. It's a Sin FM, RMITV co-production. First time I've been in the studio since the tune-up, so looking forward to getting back in there and having a bit of a play in the.
Excuse me, yawning away. It's well past my
Yep,
2
well
hours past
past
my
the bedtime
bedtime, but
for some of you.
yeah, they're still doing repeats on Channel 31 on weekends. There you go.
One of us.
Yeah, the tune-ups. There's been a few repeats. Yep.
Oh, okay. I was unaware of that. So there you go. So yeah. So it's also on CTV Plus. And November they're going to launch the smart TV app for CTV Plus, so you'll be able to watch it like you do 7 Plus and Gem and all of those. And
Poor
all of
buggers
those
having to
things
put up.
as well. So you can watch. Not only can you watch old episodes of the Tune Up, but you can watch all of last year's episodes of In Pit Lane as well if you want to catch up with all the latest news from 18 months ago.
There
Okay,
was some highlights in those. There was the boom camera halfway through the year, there was some good stuff there.
Oh, we had some good stuff there. We had some great bands on as well, and we had some good guests.
Brilliant.
So you can catch up with all of them if you haven't seen them yet. Okay, everybody, that's it. We're out of here. If you're watching the Grand Final, have a good weekend. If not, I don't think there's much motorsport happening down here because it's Grand Final week and nothing happens down here during Grand Final week. So we will see you.
Yes.
The world.
I'll be watching.
XL Enduro this week. Is there any live streaming, Mark?
Audio only.
Oh.
It will be streamed via the. I've got the thing on the screen and I scrolled past it because I thought I'd stop that segment. Scrolling.
It's.
Sorry, I've got the.
If they want video, it's not too late, to give us a call. I mean,
I was going to say, did you want me to say the brought to you by spiel again from BP Australia?
Hey, listen, it's now officially everybody's gone. I mean, Mad Cow Mark has left us ages ago, and so has everybody else now.
Good night.
People watching. Goodbye, everybody.
You're watching the footy.
Good night.
Get the claws out.
Everyone.
Have a good one.